Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hold On Till Dawn podcast. I'm your host, Erin, and today our special guest is from the Society for the Prevention of Teen Suicide. Please welcome Stacy. Hi,
Hey, Erin, it's so good to see you.
you too. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're like matching today.
Yeah, we got our blue. Well, mine kind of
Yeah.
looks green, but it's like bluish green.
Is it blue?
It's like a greenish blue, but it's like seafoamish. Yeah.
I like it. Matches your eyes.
Thanks. Thanks.
How you been doing?
Good. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
I'm really looking forward to our conversation and thank you so much for having me on today, but always kind of creating these conversations and spaces for
Yeah.
stigma, chats. My name is Stacy Brief, and I'm a licensed social worker. I live on Long Island, New York, where I've been practicing as a therapist with youth, families, teens, and young adults for about 3 years. But I work primarily now with the Society for the Prevention of Teen Suicide. We like acronyms in our org because our name is a mouthful. And SPTS is centered out of New Jersey. So most of my colleagues and folks there are centered in New Jersey. But my relationship with the organization dates back about 10 years now,
Wow.
which is wild because I got involved with the org when I was 16 or 17 myself.
Wow.
And yeah, it's been a great relationship. So I'm looking forward to talking all about their work because I could talk about it for days.
Yeah, and I'm so excited I came across you guys because I kind of focus on the AFSP, but there's so many other mental health organizations, and since I live in New Jersey, it's like really exciting that I found you guys.
I know it was meant to be. AFSP is an incredible organization, and unfortunately, there's enough work to go around that it's really important for so many folks to be focusing on the fact that our youth really need our help navigating through challenging times and help staying safe and really learning about how to take care of themselves and access resources.
Yeah. And can you tell us a little bit about the history of the SPTS and how it was started?
Yeah, absolutely. So SPTS was founded in 2005. So we're about 20 years old now. This
Oh,
year, 2025, we are celebrating our 20th year as an organization serving the community. And SPTS was started by two sets of parents who both unfortunately experienced the tragic loss of their teenage children to suicide in 2005. And the way we like to phrase it within our organization is these two fathers embraced their grief and their pain, and they really harnessed it into their purpose, which fuels our mission as an organization. Um, so when we got started in 2005, SPTS was really instrumental in encouraging New Jersey to pass legislation in the year 2006 that required educators to have at least 2 hours of suicide prevention training every 5 years, which is still the case today. And a lot of other states now have those mandates as well. But since then, I mean, in 20 years, the organization has grown a lot, especially in the last handful of years, that we now have a really wide range of programming to address suicide prevention that all channel into this vision to build resilience and strength in youth and in the communities that surround youth so that we can work towards preventing suicide and saving lives.
that's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, sad that it started in a tragic way, but amazing that they came up with something so amazing from it. And a lot of the time, grief is painful and horrible, but it really bridges to get you to the next thing that could be really great.
I mean, the fact that our organization started from a place of grief is absolutely unfortunate. and also resembles the message of resilience that we put out into the world too, right? Like I always think of when I think about resilience and I think about our founders, I think of the lotus flower, which grows through like mud and conditions where you wouldn't imagine anything to be living or come to life. But this lotus flower like bursts through mud and gook and blooms into something beautiful. And that's exactly what our founders did with their grief was grow through it and create something really beautiful and impactful from it.
Yeah, that's a really great analogy. And I think you kind of touched on the mission, but do you want to mention a little bit of the core values of the organization?
Absolutely. Um, so overall, like our view on suicide prevention is we always say we're working towards creating a confident and compassionate community, what we refer to as the transformational care model. So what that means is we really strongly believe that every single person in a community, every single person that holds any role in a young person's life, that they play a part in preventing suicide. And so our programming and our mission is all centered around providing education, awareness, and skill set for all of those different folks in the community and all of those trusted adults in a young person's life, including the young person themselves, so that we all know what role do I play and I can feel confident and have the resources I need for when that young person may choose to reach out to me for support. And our core values all center around that idea that like it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to keep a child safe. So we're committed to building lives of resilience. We're committed to evidence-based best practice interventions and strategies to reducing stigma and making sure folks know that while suicide is a scary word for sure, and a word that might give us pause, it's not a bad word. It is a word that we can say out loud and that we need to say out loud, and really committed to making sure that folks of marginalized communities and marginalized identities um, who are impacted by suicide just as much as anyone else, that we're aware of those folks and that we're providing resources that are culturally responsive.
That's awesome. And how can listeners get involved with you guys?
So I love that question because like I said, I started with the org when I was 16 or 17. So I feel like I've moved through all of these different ways of being involved with SPTS, all kind of leading to where I'm at now with a full-time position as suicide prevention program manager. But I get excited when folks want to get involved in the work because I know how much purpose and meaning it's brought to my life. So I'll start with youth. Young people can get involved in our organization. And in my eyes, young people are and teens are the ones that drive our organization, meaning we can't talk about youth suicide prevention and talk to all these adults in a young person's life about how to support them without young people making sure and checking us that we're on track and this is what we need. So we have our youth serving programs are called Be Swell programs, and my awesome team member Natalie Hayes Scott is the manager for our Be Swell programs. We have a couple of councils, youth councils. So if any listeners are high school aged youth in the state of New Jersey, we have a virtual Be Swell Council that meets once a month on Zoom. And the youth are talking about reducing stigma. They're learning their role as a peer in suicide prevention. They're learning about all these different components of the wellness wheel and how to spread messages of hope and resilience amongst their communities. And then they're also getting to step into our organization and lend their voice and participate in a lot of our events, specifically our Be Swell summits. Youth are really implemented into. And then for folks who want to get involved who are grown, we have, I'd say, taking a look through our resources and our programs and seeing what support do I need, or asking yourself, what support do I need, or what could I use to know more about in order to feel confident if a young person in my life came up to me and asked for support. So bringing community education trainings to your own community is a way to get involved, or participating in events that we have going on across New Jersey or on Long Island, as well as fundraising, donating, and sponsoring at or volunteering at events helps us to keep our mission moving forward.
Awesome. And I guess you kind of just touched on the programs and services you offered, but are there any that you didn't just mention that are available?
100%. So like I've been saying with that competent, compassionate community, our programming touches on these different pillars in the community who we recognize have direct contact with youth or are key players in a youth's mental health journey or preventing suicide. So we have training programs and resources for parents and caregivers. One that's really, I think, important to highlight is our online parent caregiver toolkit. And it is designed for caregivers. It's a free online resource that's available in 14 different languages, which
Wow.
our team member Emily Sullivan worked really hard on making sure that it was accessible for all different folks. So being available in so many languages is a big part of bridging different communities that might not be centered in different programs of support, and making sure that they have access. And it goes through, what do I say to my child if I'm recognizing concerning signs? How do I navigate the whole mental health care system? Like, what's the difference between a social worker and a psychologist?
Mhm.
All of the questions that might intimidate caregivers or might lead them to feel a sense of blame or shame themselves. We really try to break that down so that they feel like, okay, I see my child is struggling, and now I have a little bit of an idea of what my next step might be. And I feel like it's not my fault, so that I feel like I'm okay to ask for help from someone, you know.
Yeah. And that's available on your website, right?
It's available on our website. Yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome.
we've done a lot of work with educators. That's kind of where our roots were in the school systems. So we have toolkits as well, like printed toolkits around mental health crises and navigating behavioral health for educators, as well as in-person and online training modules. We refer to it as making educators partners in youth suicide prevention. So that right now is a free online course of modules that any educator can access countrywide, actually.
Oh, wow.
And then the in-person trainings we do across the state of New Jersey, and right now also serving Long Island, New York.
Oh, cool. That's really awesome.
Mhm.
And are there any upcoming events in the spring or summer?
Okay, what do we have coming up? So, we have one out of seven of our Be Swell summits. So the Be Swell Summit is a day-long event that to me is it's always my favorite day of the year, honestly, because the energy is like so high and there's so much love and care in the space. We invite in high school aged youth um, and high school staff members or youth serving community members. We invite them in for the day and we provide all these different workshops and panel discussions that center around wellness and resilience and share personal stories of strength and moving through challenging times. It's a really, really special day. So we have our Monmouth County Summit, which is on May 13th. It is still open, I believe, for registration. So any young person or staff member, check in with your high school, see if you're registered to attend, or you can check it out on our website. So our summits are like a great window into the whole vibe of our organization. Trying to think. I know we have a couple of community education trainings in the spring throughout New Jersey. So we will be hosting one of our Healing in the Collective trainings, which is youth suicide prevention, specifically focused on supporting youth of color. We'll be hosting in Monmouth County with our partners, Conscious Youth Development and Services. They also go by acronyms KYDS. Everyone's got a long name.
Yeah.
And then something really cool is we received funding from the New Jersey Department of Education.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
we'll be working on this really wide scale awareness campaign. And we'll have a speaker series of, I think, 8 online speaker series. We're going to be inviting in different partners to speak about different risk factors and different areas of support that our youth might need. And then we'll be doing 8 in-person events as well, some for youth and some for adults across the state of New Jersey.
Wow, that's really awesome.
It's exciting.
Yeah. Okay. So to kind of change onto I don't want to say darker note, more serious note.
Mhm.
What are the warning signs of suicide and how can someone help someone that seems to be struggling?
That that's the question, right? Is like how do we know? And what do we do when we recognize that someone who we love and care about so deeply is struggling? So thank you for asking the question. I think that so there, what I'm going to say, I have in my heart and my mind anyone who may have lost a loved one to suicide. I'm sending those folks lots of light and love because when I say that there are warning signs to recognize if you've lost a loved one to suicide, it is not your fault. I truly believe that everyone does the very best they can with the information that they have at the time to
Mhm.
support and love the people that are close to them. So when we say that there are warning signs to notice and to recognize, again, if for folks who have lost a loved one, there is no judgment, no blame or shame. But we talk about the warning signs and the fact that they're there, right? So that we have the knowledge of what might be presented because sometimes when folks are really in a lot of pain they can really hold it in and keep it from their loved ones. So part of just like these conversations are letting folks know that you do not have to sit with that pain or that struggle alone, that you matter and that there are people who want to support you. And so at SPTS, we look at warning signs with another acronym of FACTS. So we use that acronym FACTS to kind of help us categorize the different warning signs and keep it in our minds. So we think when we think of warning signs, we think of facts. And the F stands for feelings. So if we notice or if we hear from a loved one that they are feeling hopeless, right? That they don't feel like things could get better, they're not looking forward to anything in the future. Or if they're feeling helpless, like they are believing that the way I'm feeling right now, there's nothing I could do to change it, or feeling as though we're a burden to others, all of those feelings are indicators that someone we love and care about is experiencing really intense emotional pain or is experiencing a lot of challenge. And when we hear those things, we want to be curious and ask more questions. The A for facts that stands for actions. So if you notice that someone is um, acting really aggressive, getting into fights, if they are engaging in really risky behavior, such as substance abuse or placing themselves in harm's way, right? So paying attention to not just how what the person is saying or feeling, but how they're acting as well. The C stands for changes. And I think that this is one that a lot of folks really find a window in to notice if someone you love and care about is acting differently than you typically know them to, that we want to be curious about it and ask questions. If there are changes in their sleeping or eating habits, or I'm going to take a breath on this one, if you don't mind with me, that if someone is actually more energetic and shows a heightened mood, not just when there's a depressed mood, that we want to get curious about that too, because what we know, unfortunately, is that when folks may have made a decision in their mind to end their life, that sometimes that can lead to this sense of relief and then they'll come across as much more energetic and brightened spirits. So again, just like any change that you notice is something to be curious and ask questions about. And then the T stands for talk or threat. So if they're making any direct comments or posts online about not being here anymore, not mattering, not caring if they were to wake up the next day. And lastly, that S is for situations. So these are the things that I think our society has sometimes labeled as the causes for suicide. And what we know to be true is that suicide is a really complicated and complex um, situation. And there is never just one reason why someone may take their life. But those situations are sometimes what we see as the like activating events. So for example, like bullying. That's something that we might see going on in someone's life, and it's a situation that's contributing to someone's emotional distress. But we recognize there are probably a lot of other things that that person is experiencing, or a lot of other signs that lead to suicidal crisis as well. So I want to take a breath because anytime I talk about warning signs, I just recognize like how real it is,
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. And I've experienced some of my friends like witnessing some of the signs. And I know that one of the best things you can do is to flat out ask someone if they're thinking of suicide, if you think that they are. So I've even like said that a couple times to friends. And thankfully, the ones that have responded to me have said no. And then I kind of keep my eye on them. I check on them like at least once a week and see how they're doing. If there's anything I can do to help, I give out like therapist information, like if that's something they're interested in, and just keep checking in on them because if someone's giving you a warning sign. You want to pay attention to it because you could help prevent losing them. And
Right.
and if you can't prevent that, don't blame yourself. It's like you said, it's not your fault, but we want to try to help those that we can.
That's exactly it. It's about just knowing what to ask about, right? And like asking, it means so much. And you're speaking exactly to what prevention is. It's about being open to asking a scary or uncomfortable question, asking directly if someone's thinking about suicide. Because if they're not, then they're not. And you've established yourself as someone who cares about them and who sees them and who's willing to have a challenging conversation, whether it's about suicide or not. But if that person is thinking about suicide, the fact that another person would take that step to ask the question could be a life-saving situation.
Yep. Okay, on a happier note, you guys partnered with the School of Rock. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about that partnership, how it started, and what you collaborated on?
Right on. And I know you've got deep roots in music, right?
Yes, yeah.
Did you
These
share with me you have another benefit concert coming up?
Yes, we do. So on May 17th, which what day did you say the Be Swell retreat was on?
May 13th.
Oh, okay, okay. Because I heard you say it, and I thought you said 13th, but then I was like, wait, I hope she didn't say the 17th. No, so yeah, it'll be on May 17th in Philadelphia at the World Cafe Live. We'll have MKTO, Drew Seeley, and Johnny, who were all part of the Orlando benefit concert.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, really, really exciting. They were so awesome in Orlando. They had such a good time. And so we were like, we have to do this again. So yeah, I'm really excited that they're coming to Philly. And
Does
yeah,
Drew Seeley have some of his own music?
yes, he does. He actually has a couple albums. He does sing his High School Musical stuff, but he sings his own songs as well. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Blast from the past. That's so cool.
Yeah. The MKTO Andrew Seeley is kind of like a blast from the past because they have been broken up since 2020 and they came back together for the Orlando benefit concert and now they're like touring
Wow.
again. Yeah, so
That's so cool.
I reunited MKTO.
We can thank you for that
Yeah.
reunification.
Yeah. So
I think I saw MKTO as an opener for a Demi Lovato concert I went to a long
wow.
time.
That's
Yeah, they were
awesome.
incredible.
Yeah, the last time I saw them live besides this year was 2014. So it's been so
Whoa,
long. Yeah.
that's so cool. Awesome. Yeah, Philly's a neighbor, so
Yeah,
I can't wait
everybody.
to yeah. Do you have to register to attend?
So we do have tickets for sale. If anyone's listening that wants to buy tickets, we have general admission tickets. We have a breaking free VIP, which is you get to meet the guys before the show and take a photo with them. And then we have a party with my friends VIP where you actually get to be at a party with all of the guys for an hour before the show, complimentary hors d'oeuvres and desserts and soft drinks.
Wow,
So that'll be fun.
that's gonna be such a cool event.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so music, I definitely like could not have survived. Actually, our one of our team members sends out emails like at the start of every week with our SPTS happenings and always a like fun team building question. And our question this week was if you could only live with one music or movies, which one would you choose to have forever?
Wow, that's
And
tough.
it was, yeah. We were like, you're going deep this week, Shauna. We were all kind of like low key annoyed by the question because we were like, don't make us choose. Um, but I'm pretty sure we were like, um, 100% all around on the music side. What about you?
Oh, that's so hard. What about like musicals? Like that's kind of a cheat. It's musicals, movies, like High School Musical. You're still listening to music. But I guess if I had to choose between a movie with no music and music, I'd pick the music too because I listen to music every day and I don't actually watch TV every day. So
Mhm.
yeah.
I'm with you. And some movies without music might just be a little awkward.
Yeah. True.
So no, we're music lovers. Over at SPTS too, we've had an incredible partner in the School of Rock for a handful of years now. We so the School of Rock actually does an All Stars tour every summer where their youth tour the entire country, and we are working with them to support the parents and caregivers and the staff members with some trainings so that they feel prepared to support the youth on tour, which can be a high stakes and intense environment. And in general, again, this is not speaking to every single musician out there, but in general, our musicians and artists are oftentimes some of the deepest feelers and have just such raw emotion. That's why they create such meaningful and relatable art. So, we really work to support the School of Rock in making sure that they have all of the education, awareness, and resources they need to keep their youth safe. And they've been incredible supporters and partners to SPTS because their all-star tours they donate to SPTS and they fundraise and they've been really huge champions of our mission and message. So the youth themselves have spread some of our resources and messages of hope in their own language, which is really cool. So they coin it as "We need you in the band" as their way of kind of letting one another know that, like, hey, you matter, you're worthy, you're valuable, and no matter what you're feeling or going through right now, we need you here. Um, our One of our co-founders, JD Wilson, one of our signature programs, which I hadn't mentioned, Lead You, but I know you're going to be doing a an episode with our Lead You crew as well. But JD Wilson is one of the co-founders, also did this artist tour with the School of Rock and Frank Zumo, who's the drummer of Sum 41. And JD got to kind of go up on stage and lead the audience in some wellness and resilience activities. So we've had an incredible partnership with them, and it's just great to have that partnership because music is a coping skill and a language that so many young people speak and rely on during challenging times. So it's been really special.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's an awesome partnership.
That's why we were so glad you reached out and came across this as well because that mutual passion for music. We were like, we're with you. We relate.
Yeah, it's so cool. Speaking of music, it can play such a huge role in mental health. So, what is your favorite genre of music and what is your current favorite song?
Oh my gosh.
I
Um, like the hardest question ever.
know.
I am the worst person to make the playlist for a car ride because I jump from like genre to genre, old to new. I'm all over the place. One of the most influential artists for me has been Demi Lovato. She's got like a wicked way of writing music that literally takes my thoughts and feelings and like it's wild. Um, so Demi Lovato's always a good turn to. Right now, I've been super into Billie Eilish's new music. And I always fall back on Switchfoot is one of my favorite
Oh,
bands.
yeah. Love
So
Switchfoot. I just saw them in concert last summer, actually.
yeah.
They were touring with Matt Nathanson, who's like one of my favorite musicians of all time. So they it was the two of them and then a third band that I hadn't heard of. And they would always like rotate who went first. So Switchfoot went first and then Matt Nathanson went next. And then I actually left because I didn't know the last band, but it was really fun.
That
It was
lineup
really,
worked for you then.
yeah, it did. I was really excited when I found out the order. So yeah,
I
it was really cool.
saw Demi Lovato in concert, I believe it was last summer, with a good friend in Asbury Park in New Jersey. It was my first time going to a concert at the Stone Pony, which has got a ton of like musical history to it and an
Oh, wow.
awesome. So,
That's cool. So that's in North Jersey, Asbury Park, right? Yeah.
girl, I'm the one person on SPTS's staff that's not from Jersey. So, North Central, Jersey Shore, I'm learning.
Okay.
It's a learning
I
process.
I feel like it's North Shore-ish, but
Okay.
yeah. Whoever's listening to this from New Jersey, sorry. I've
Yeah.
only lived in New Jersey
Apologies.
for 12 years. Wait, this year will be 13 years. Oh my gosh, that's crazy because I'm from Massachusetts actually,
Oh,
but
okay.
I moved here after college. So still people will be like, "Do you know where so and so is?" And I'm like, "No, I don't."
And it's funny because it's not that large of a state. Like
No.
I I'm giving myself a little bit longer and then I don't have much of an excuse to not be able to answer these questions.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
Clinical director Kalisha is a Jersey girl through and through, so she's gonna grill me on this one.
Love it. Okay. So when you are personally going through a difficult time, what is something that helps you get through it?
So I speak a lot about this because I bring like my full self into the work I do. I think it helps me relate the most and approach folks with as much empathy as possible. So I actually draw upon, I have like an intersection of being a trained like clinician, but also being a suicide attempt survivor myself. So um, when I find myself like in the past or windows of time up until recently in this kind of like suicide mindset or it's really a crisis mindset where like your thinking narrows, like when if you're in any crisis, it's not the time where you're thinking the most clearly. So I really have found that I lean back on three different things. It's tapping into my sense of purpose. So choosing to do something, surround myself with people, or look through like items that remind me of what my purpose, what I feel my purpose on this earth is. And so the work I do actually helps a lot with that. Um, Doing something that I'm passionate about and like usually for me that's all around creativity, so it might be listening to music, it might be baking, it might be crafting or being with my I've a niece nephew and a soon to be niece, which has contributed a lot to my sense of purpose and passion. um, and then lastly, my connections and my community. So, like, sometimes that means just positioning myself in a space to with others if I don't want to talk, if I'm not in the mood to like work through those emotions. My brother's always been amazing for that. Like I would just sit on his bed while he's playing Fortnite and like barely even notices I'm there, but just being in the space with someone
Yeah.
else who I know cares about me being here. Or when I've found myself in times where I'm really struggling with my own safety, reaching out to my own trusted adults, those adults in my life and people now that I'm grown in my life that I know will listen to me without judgment, and will take action to support me if I'm not able to be safe.
Those are really good points to make. It's like my favorite question to ask people because I was I interviewed a lot of people last year and then I went through a horrific breakup and I re-listened to all my episodes and I was like writing down what everybody suggested to do. And it was like amazing. I literally got to do what all of my guests suggested.
So
And
wise.
yeah, so I loved that. It was, so that's my favorite question to ask people because I just love finding out what other people navigate towards when they're going through a difficult time.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back and listen through all of your I heard you talk about the fact that you did that in one of your episodes.
Yeah.
But as I'm like going through all of your incredible episodes, I'm gonna have to keep a list for
Oh,
some point.
yeah.
I'm gonna need some suggestions.
Yeah. And the first like seven, six guests, like nobody said the same thing at all. Like they were all different. And I was like, this is incredible. Like nobody had the same thing at first. I mean, then I interviewed so many people that we did get to it, but like it was really cool in the beginning that everybody had their own thing and it was different than everybody else. So
Right,
I loved that.
for sure. So personal. What you rely on in a challenging time, it's finding what works for you.
Yeah, exactly. Mhm. All right. So, lastly, where can our listeners find the SPTS on social media?
Yes. So you can find SPTS at www.sptsusa.org. You can also follow us on Instagram at SPTSUSA, or on Facebook at Society for the Prevention of Teen Suicide. But I also always make sure to share some resources, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely.
Whenever we have a conversation about suicide, it's really, really important to me that anyone who's listening who might be in a position where they need support knows where they can get it. So some national crisis resources that are available 24/7 for folks are the 988 crisis helpline, which you can call, text, or online chat. The crisis text line, you can text home to 741-741 or hola to 741-741 for Spanish speaking support. And the Trevor Project has a hotline for LGBTQ plus folks, or the Deaf Crisis Line. If you are deaf or hard of hearing, is a 24/7 video call or online chat support. So please, if anyone's listening to this and experiencing a tough time, just know that you are worthy and you matter, and there's help available for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was so great. I loved learning more about the SBTS and you, and this was so fun.
Back at you, Erin. I would love to keep in touch, and myself and some folks are going to see if we're able to make it out to your benefit concert.
Yes,
Thank you so
awesome.
much.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to keeping in touch. Yeah.
Back at you. Take care.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Our website is holdontilldawn.com and our email is holdontilldawn@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at holdontilldawn and on Facebook at Hold On Till Dawn Benefit Concert. See you next time.